Yo, what is up guys? Today we're going to be having a quick talk about Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 10. It was just dropped about 7-8 hours ago. I'm getting the video out now. It's a bit late, which I apologize for. Hopefully we have videos more on time going forward. Today's video format is going to be a little different from usual because it's not fully scripted, but I'm actually just using a main point outline and I'm going to freestyle rather than follow a script word for word. So if you see any grammatical errors or any stuttering, that's mainly because of that. I'm doing this because editing takes time and I want to at least get chapter reviews out on the same day of the chapter at the very least, which I haven't been able to do in the past. So subscribe and like this video, you know, all that good stuff. If you're new to the channel, I do a whole bunch of different topics: Avatar, Naruto, Boruto. I just do whatever I want, honestly, as long as it's anime and manga related. I might even stretch into game content in the future. I don't know, but I do whatever here. Without any further ado, let's talk about the latest chapter of Boruto. We have a lot of things to talk about. So there are a couple things to remark on this chapter. We got a lot of new developments between Sarada, Himawari, excuse me, and the new Kurama, which is pretty exciting to see. There are a couple things that I'm going to get back to at the end of this video to go on in like more detail, just because it's not as easy to explain. But we basically start off exactly where we left with Hidari, Jura, and Konoha, and Jura goes chasing off Team 10 after they escape on INOJIN's drawn bird, and Konohamaru's team confronting Hidari. We learn that Kawaki, actually, opposed to popular belief, does care about Himawari and tells Shikamaru that since Himawari was in trouble, he should have told her first. And this is something that a lot of fans were surprised at because they thought Kawaki was the type of dude who didn't give a shit about Himawari. They thought Kawaki didn't care about her and only cared about killing Boruto. But this is disproving that, which is really good because Kawaki has always been this type of character, and I feel like it would have been poor writing if he had actually just gone after Boruto instead, because that's just not who he was proven to be in the past. We get a little bit of Boruto development as well. Shikamaru asks Boruto what happened with his karma, and Boruto basically, he brushes it aside. He says it's a minor issue and needs a little break, but he's drawn with sweat marks, and the blanks stares from the toad and Boruto himself. It's basically telling the reader that it's not a minor issue. And this has led to the theories about what is Boruto's karma? Why is it such a danger now? You know, it seems like at the end of part 1, he said that he could channel the power better, although that's not the case anymore. It seems like he's really afraid of karma. Maybe something happened during the time skip that we're not sure of, and that's what people are getting at. We get a little bit of comedy with Jura and Hidari this chapter. I find honestly really funny. Just because, I don't know, I don't think when was the last villain that we had that had a bit of comedy to him? I'd say it was probably like Shoujo here, right? We don't get that many comedic elements to the villains in Boruto. They've always been pretty serious and one track. So seeing a little bit more personality with these guys is really interesting, especially coming after somebody like Code, who, let's be honest, was not that great of a villain. He didn't do his job very well. He was a great character, but as a villain, he wasn't that good. So Hidari asks why they interfere, and Jura's like, ask them yourself, and he just goes off and flies. So we learned that Konohamaru is remarking on how Sasuke Uchiha's chakra was identified by the sensory unit, but he doesn't see him, and they claim that Sasuke should be right in front of him, and so he's confused as to who the hell Hidari is, because he's somebody whose chakra registers as Sasuke Uchiha and is clearly not Sasuke Uchiha. Sarada stumbles in on the scene. They have a quick Chidori exchange where he almost gets her, and she seems to be able to react with the 3-tomo Sharingan and dodges it. There's a little bit of debate coming with this fight, this little skirmish here that I'm going to get into more at the end of the video, but it's just a little nice thing that was done. I like to say that we're finally getting some more dynamic choreography done by Ikimoto, which is really great. We get to see his evolution as an artist. Early Boruto, let's be honest, did not have that great of fight choreography. We had pretty much the same style of paneling, the same style of viewpoints in pretty much every combat encounter. We get to see Sarada take on the Chidori at different angles to strike him. and it's just really cool and well done. We switch perspectives back to Kurama and Himawari, and he basically explains that Himawari and Kurama are now one, which is another plot element that I'll get into at the end of this video. And he's basically now inside of Himawari instead of Naruto. She's now the new Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. He doesn't really know why he resurrected Himawari. As we know in the past Naruto lore, Bijou do not stay dead. This is something that's been said in Naruto and is just being rehashed. Anybody who thought otherwise is probably stupid. Even if their flesh or soul perishes over time, they will return to life, just like the Three Tails return. The only difference being that Kurama has returned, and instead of into the wild, has returned inside of Himawari instantly. And he's intrigued by this too. He says he doesn't know why. He says maybe it's because she was born with a sliver of his chakra, or because it's a destiny, because, you know, it's a destiny thing, being born by Naruto and Hinata, people with two ties to the Otsutsuki clan. Doesn't matter how it's happened though, and what's important is the future. So she introduces herself, and Jura catches up to them, knocking them off INOJIN's bird with a tailed beast bomb, and they fall into the valley/canyon below. I don't know where this is outside of the village. Seems like some random unmarked area, but it's good that we're getting some time spent outside of Konoha. If I were to liken this to anything in Naruto, it'd be kind of like the Naruto Four Tails fight versus Orochimaru on, I forget the bridge name, was it Tenichi Bridge? That I think it's going to be something very similar to this in the next few chapters going forward, which is exciting to see. We're really getting that Shippuden vibe with Boruto Vortex, with like more characters. The power is ramping up, because although the power was there in Part 1 Boruto, you didn't really get to see it. Now we're seeing that destructive capability. We're seeing those destructive feats that we were missing in Part 1 to show that, oh yeah, shit's getting real, shit's getting hard, right? So Kurama, one thing I find funny is Kurama is like, you got to do this by yourself and you can't rely on me, so go attack him. Himawari goes to attack him and he just like breaks her leg. And Kurama's like, oh shit, I didn't mean that. But INOJIN attacks Jura out of anger. I don't know why. I think they have that special bond that's from the anime in here. In the manga canon, I don't recall INOJIN and Himawari ever having any sort of special bond. So maybe this is drawing on that, or maybe this is just starting up that special bond. Who knows? Regardless, the pedo INOJIN jokes or whatever aren't really that funny. There are a lot of people in the fandom calling him a pedophile when he's literally like 1 year older than her. He's the youngest of Boruto's generation, and Himawari is only 2 years younger than Boruto. He's probably like 2 years older than her at most, a very low 2 years. Regardless, he gets 2-tapped by Jura, as you'd expect, and Himawari awakens Kurama's power. And one thing that's really interesting with this is that instead of awakening, you know, the Kurama features with the chakra cloak, or Caesium Zera, some people like to call it, with the bubbles, she kind of turns into like this strange state where chakra is swirling around her, but her hair is more transformative. Her physical features are more transformative. And this is one of the things that I wanted to remark about. So the chapter ends there, and there are a couple main points that I wanted to touch on before we end this video. There's the Sarada/Hiyori power scaling argument that came from people not being that happy that Sarada was able to keep up with and react to Hiyori, who should be leagues above her, who should be a high Otsutsuki tier. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a story and people will have to keep up, regardless of whether it's explained or not. Sarada at this point, I envision, would be like a high Kage level. We don't know what her Mangekyo does yet, even though it's been awakened in the final part of Part 1. But we can assume that it's also very busted, probably hacks related, that's going to put her up with the high Otsutsuki tiers. In terms of physical attributes, I don't really think there's a valid explanation yet, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Himawari and Kurama have been declared to be one. Kurama explicitly states that Himawari is more aligned with his chakra than Naruto, and this is most likely, as I said before, because of her lineage being Hyuga and Uzumaki, two clans with ties to the Otsutsuki. And so instead of being a typical Jinchuriki, they're also one and the same. And this is something that's new and unexplored. And maybe perhaps this leads into that strength increase to have Himawari making more sense to be in with the big hitters, because, you know, we've already seen Ninetales at max power. We've already seen what the Ninetales can do. Baryon mode was its peak. That's how it was with Naruto, right? But now we're seeing a new form of unison, and I hope this is going to be what allows Himawari to stay in the game with the big players and it to actually make sense, rather than it just being Kurama got a power increase just because his vessel's better. And then the final thing to address is INOJIN. Is he dead? What's going on here? Some people say he's not dead, it's going to be an ink clone. Me personally, I don't think that an ink clone would be, I feel like that'd be pretty cheap cop-out, because, you know, like, she's awakening Kurama's powers off of a clone. That doesn't feel very impactful. Realistically, I think he's actually injured, very well injured. There are a couple of things that could happen. How to save INOJIN is a video in and of itself, but there's just like a couple ideas, like Sakura coming in to help heal. That's a viable idea. I've even heard Kawaki sealing INOJIN away in the Daikokuten in order to freeze time, which, you know, would stop him dying, at least temporarily, until he brings him out. Boruto flying, raging him somewhere. Who knows, that can get him healed. Regardless, it's not looking good for INOJIN right now. And yeah, pretty much that's it for all of chapter 10. It's a really good chapter. If I had to rate it, it'd probably be 7 out of 10. Not the best Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, just because I found a little bit of a pacing issue and maybe some art discrepancies that are really minor nitpicks. Overall, though, the actual content of the chapter is perfect, and while the pacing is a little bit fast at some points, I will say that Kishimoto seems to be getting used to that monthly pacing, and it's really great because compared to Boruto Part 1, where it was all over the place, at least Blue Vortex seems way more consistent, and it feels like we're getting that weekly format, but with monthlies. I don't really know how to describe it other than that, but that's just how it is. Really great chapter, and yeah. So, any videos you guys want me to do, comment them down in the comment section below. If you have any idea on how we can save INOJIN from certain death, comment those as well. I would like to do a video on that as well if enough people remark on it. If there's anything else you guys want to see me do, whether it's Naruto related, Boruto related, or whatever the fuck it is, just comment it. I would like those ideas. I'm also looking for an editor, so hit up my Discord at Korusaunt if you're interested in editing for the channel. With that said and done, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you so much, and until next time.